What's up, world? This is Real Talk, about real business, a podcast featuring a different guest each episode. Join me as we are given the opportunity to hear their story, the battles they face, the obstacles they've overcome, the losses they've incurred, the lessons they've learned, the memories they've made, the lives they've touched, the wins they've had, the opportunities yet to present themselves. Who am I? My name is Mason, and for the past decade, I've been grinding and hustling on a level you would understand. I've sold everything, from candy bars to big screens. I own the #1 electronics store in Las Vegas called Best Deal in Town. It's been my primary focus and my pride and joy for the last 6 years. It's given me opportunities I never would have thought of possible. It's introduced me to people I never thought I would know. I don't have all the answers. In fact, I have very, very few. But what I do have are a ton of questions. And that's my story. Join me as we talk with real people who have really done it, with real hardships and real success. Despite all the odds, despite all the naysayers, all the constant negativity, and the ever-mounting uncertainty that we are faced with every single day. This is their story on Real Talk. Yo, what is up, world? It is Mason with Business Breakdown, and we have another episode of Real Talk with you today. Today, my guest, he's a true success story. Someone who took a risk and invested in themselves. A man that emerged from a dying market, literally, and is now seeing that the grass is greener on the other side, literally. And we'll get into more of that as we get going through here. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce my guest, Mike Duncan.
Hello, thank you. I appreciate it. Yes.
Hey, thanks for coming today, Mike. Let's get into it a little bit about who you are, what you do. Give us a little background about yourself, and kind of how you came to be today. A little short synopsis, and we'll kind of dig into things a little bit.
Well, I like everybody. You think your parents tell you got to go to college, so I went that route for a very short period of time. It was real quick.
Where did you go for a very short period of time?
University of Minnesota.
Okay, so I always make this joke. I'm like, I went to college. So you went to college?
I went.
Exactly.
I certainly didn't stay. Right? I didn't stay. It didn't take me long to figure out that the English teacher didn't care if I was there, and I didn't care if I was there either. Right?
Yep,
so
no.
I left that after just a short period and went to the United States Air Force.
Oh,
right.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I'll tell you, I tell people all the time the military's not really a great place to be, but it is a great place to start. And I think a lot of what I've been able to pass on, to other people and in my own life, actually take advantage of. I learned those 6 years in the military.
There's a certain level of like fundamentals I think that you just have to have if you're in the military, which
you just learn that everything isn't perfect, and you just got to make it work without it being perfect.
Sure.
We have gotten into this a little bit of atmosphere these days where everything has to be lined up. And I also, to our point, our conversation today, so many people, like, they've got these great ideas and they want to be in business, but they want everything all lined up like it's a for sure hit before they take the chance. And sometimes you just got to go with it and make it happen as it happens, right?
Right. Like 9 times out of 10, whatever you're doing, like you start it, and by the time you finish it, it's a completely different thing anyway, right?
Correct. Yeah. Completely different. And the things you learn.
So 6 years in the Air Force.
Right.
Do anything cool there? Or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My first 3 years, I was a B-52 crew chief. I was basically a gas station attendant, but I was on flying status. I got to fly.
I mean, that's
it was cool.
So you've flown on a B-52?
Oh, I got 140 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 6-8 hours at a time, 10 hours at a time.
That's awesome.
But I was up on alert where we kept them loaded with ICBMs and
What's an IC?
Intercontinental ballistic missile.
Ah, wow.
Right.
Holy smokes. So then what'd you do after that?
After that, I was in northern Michigan. My bases were northern Maine and northern Michigan, and I was a Virginia boy, and beautiful. but cold. And I'd look over and I'd see that fire department. They had the big screen TV and the big, lounge chairs, and it was nice and warm. So I decided to be a fireman. Transferred into a fireman, became a fireman, paramedic, and went to the first Gulf War. He invaded. I was in country, I think, 36 hours after the invasion of Kuwait, and so we were in country early August. And helped kind of build the site, get everything ready for the mass influx of the Army and the Marines.
Holy cow!
Had a great time.
Wow.
We used to always say, war's hell, but it's a lot more fun than home.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
We had a great time. Really, honestly, we did. Shortly, late March, I came back, got out of my time was up.
Okay.
Right. And I went to work for a company called Nucor Yamato Steel. I ran an electric arc furnace, made I-beams. I know what labor is. I don't like it.
Like, so you were like on the factory floor, like smelting stuff?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. We had two AC current furnaces melting steel. And it was brutal. April to August.
How do you get that job? Like, you come out of the mill, like, is it, like, were you qualified for it, or they're just like, we'll take anyone who wants to work hard?
Not at all. That's it. It was the second one. And you know what? It's like everything else in life too. You know somebody. And it just so happens I was working at a health food store, and the gentleman that owned the health food store, his brother was the general manager, gentleman by the name of John Conti. He's passed away now, but I was working for his brother, and he's told me I should go apply, and I did, and I got the job. And it was in the northeastern corner of Arkansas, and it was just one of those things to where it was the highest paying thing around, and everybody just wanted to work there. So you didn't really care what the job was because you cared about what that check was, right? I did that for 2 or 3 years, and I went to go see my father. My father was in the cemetery and funeral business from the 70s as a sales manager, and I went to go visit my father one Thanksgiving, and he asked me when I started smoking, and I said I don't. And he said, well, you're coughing like you are. And that was from all the fumes and the iron. So I started thinking about my health and the long-term effects.
Because this is way before like any sort of like factory safety measures, right? I guess we're used to today.
It's the 90s, early 90s, 90, 91. So there were some, but it was a non-union plant. I think it still is. And it's one of those things where you just don't care.
Right,
That's the other thing. They kind of teach us men, right? You go out, kill the seal, bring it home, and it doesn't matter how the effects are on your body or whatever. Our job is to just go make an income. Right. And then after that, I went into the cemetery funeral business as a salesman, and
So you decided to leave because you realized the
health
issues.
Yes.
So that was what really drove you out of there.
It was, and I moved to Augusta, Georgia. Went to work for a company that was buying places.
So did you get this job through? I guess your dad knew someone, or
like all sales jobs, when you're young and you're ready to take something entry level, it's not that difficult to get into it, especially that industry, because no one wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
and that's still prevalent today. It's when I was in the industry in the late '90s and before I bought my first one. I used to tell everybody, this is a little secret. No one goes to college to learn how to run a cemetery.
Sure. No, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's a money-making proposition, as you can imagine.
Yeah. So you get your sales job. You move to Augusta.
Yep. And then from there, I got promoted to Atlanta. It's just the natural progression. You have one, then two, then multiple.
What are you doing as a in your sales position for this company? You selling actual plots?
I would go into people's homes, 2 or 3 homes at night, Monday through Thursday, and then on Saturday, and sit down with the husband and wife. And and give a presentation, sell them spaces, mausoleums,
pick out your spot.
Yes,
my family we have a family cemetery, and there's pre laid out spots. Yeah,
you've done it.
So,
right.
but how do you find these people? Knock on the door and hey, I'd like to. Do you want to know where you'd like to be buried? Or
well, there's those companies they did a lot of marketing. Back then it was telemarketing, right? We don't really do a whole lot of that now, but. in the 90s. It was telemarketing, some direct mail pieces, right?
Okay.
They still do it. I got a direct mail piece the other day, and thank gosh it wasn't from AAA.
So is it are these like hot leads then you're walking into, right?
That's
so
a good verbiage.
You're not cold calling people. And
no,
stuff.
they wanted us to. They had a lot of people that did do it. I was never fond of that.
Yeah, it's always weird.
That's just weird.
Yeah.
Right?
So all right. So you're doing this. You're hustling and grinding the real hustle. Like.
And it just so happened to be that industry was really going that time. What I mean by that is there's a couple of corporations that were buying all these up, and so they, I fell into a rhythm and a spot of how to learn. At the first Gulf War, I got a hold of a book that's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and it still today has some good language in it, and it's got a little bit of cultish, right?
The guy on the podcast yesterday told me to read this book.
You have to.
That's eerie. So now I have to read it. Okay.
You have to, and you'll pick up on some of the stuff that's all real, that self-help stuff.
Sure.
But really what he says, the whole book really, you got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You can't wait for somebody else to say, okay, go do this. That's really what the whole thing is, the mentality of you got to believe you can do it before you can do it.
100%.
100%.
Right. Like,
so it's so simple, but yet we all find it so hard sometimes. And even in relationships, and that's really what business is all about, relationships. But you got to believe in people until they show you you can't.
Right. No, that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
I used to think it was like outworking everybody, and it's not. It's putting together a team of people that will outwork everybody.
To that point, I was thinking about what we were going to speak of today, and one of the things that I was going to bring up was the best thing I could give someone: figure out who you are, and you know what? It's really simple. There are a number of tests that you can take that will tell you who you are. Like I took one called the McQuaig. Dr. McQuaig, it's out of Toronto, Canada. His office is the McQuaig Institute. There's others.
Shout out Dr. McQuaig.
Shout out. And I learned I was dominant, driven, independent, and social. Well, I can tell you details are not my strong point. That's the reason why Alexis and I get along as well, right? Because she is detail oriented. So you find out who you are and what your strengths are, play to them, and then surround yourself, like you said, with people that do the things that you're weak. And next thing you know, 1 + 1 makes 11, not 2.
Heard that. That's a great way to think about it for sure. Mm-hmm. So the industry's booming, and when you say like people they're buying these things up, they're buying up funeral homes, or they're buying up cemeteries.
The corporations were buying up both.
Just anything in the funeral industry they're buying.
Right, and it was because of the baby boomers, right? The baby boomer generation, they were getting to that age to where they were going to begin pre-planning. So here comes the cash flow. And I was lucky enough to be right there in the middle of it and learned how to operate them. And I took a chance, right? And I bought some out of bankruptcy.
Wow. So would you tell us a story about your first one you bought? Because that's got to be the one that like really sticks. I mean, right? Like
it's a really cool story.
Let's hear it.
So I was at an office. A lady called me and wanted me to help her move her mother from an abandoned cemetery to the one I was running. And I said to her, "Boy, that's a pretty place." Because it was unkept, but it was beautiful. And I said, "If I owned it, you wouldn't want to, move it." She said, "You can. Here's the number." And it was to the federal bankruptcy court, Honorable Tom McGregor.
So this was like you got the
fluke.
You got this from a grieving
attorney. Wanted to move her mama, right?
Wow. Okay.
And so I went to visit him, and he told me, "Yep, I'll certainly sell it to you. You have the experience, the knowledge." I was young. I was 32, and he gave me a number, how much I needed. Well, 45, 60 days later, closing time's coming, and I got half.
Snap.
So what I did was I took that half and I wired it into Bank A.
Sure.
And I went to Bank A and I said, "Can I have a sheet showing that deposit sheet?" And they said, "Yes." And then immediately afterwards, I said, can I have a cashier's check for that same amount? And I walked across the street. This is in Montgomery, Alabama. There were these two banks side by side. And I walked across the street and put that cashier's check in the second bank, Bank B. And I immediately asked the bank manager for a cashier's check for the federal bankruptcy court there in Montgomery, Alabama, to the Honorable Tom McGregor. And I took him that check for his fee and the other half to prove that I had capital to run it, right, to start it. So you got to believe in yourself. You got to take a chance.
So you started with zero in your account.
Zero.
Like, because so you just, they wanted to make sure you had working capital to actually turn this thing around.
Correct. And while I had some, I also had done my homework, right? We talked about, you asked me to discuss some business. And when you're going to get into business, you got to know it. You can't know everything. You're not going to know everything. If you know everything, probably someone else does too.
Sure, yeah.
So you got to know enough, and you just got to hope that you don't make that terminal mistake. You're going to make mistakes. You just try to make sure you don't make that terminal.
Avoid the big one,
right?
Right?
Avoid the big one, right? And so I knew that some of these numbers were bluff numbers, right? Because someone's filing bankruptcy, so they want to show that there's all this debt when they were using contract amount. When you go to buy a car,
Okay.
right?
Sure.
That contract for that car, the company didn't pay that for the car, right? The dealership didn't, right? So I knew that those numbers were a little high and that I could kind of float it a little bit. And we just did a lot of marketing, a lot of personal marketing. And a lot of hard work, and the first one worked.
So was the first one a funeral home or was
Cemetery.
it just a straight up cemetery?
Plain cemetery.
Okay.
And then a little bit, a little time goes on, and I got a phone call on Christmas Eve day about some other words in the south part of the state and in the panhandle of Florida that were going through the same process. And asked me if I was interested, and with the knowledge that I had learned from the first one and working for the larger companies, learning the financials and vendors and stuff like that, I ended up with 11 before.
11.
I had 11 funeral homes, cemeteries, and crematories.
And you bought them all
out of bankruptcy, every single one of them.
That was your.
That was my
thing.
that, and I learned that the baby boomer generation loved drive-through food, McDonald's, drive-through laundry, right? So they loved the convenience. That was their thing. And so what I would do is I would find the old rundown, long-running funeral home in the area, and we would make a deal on it and move it and put it out on. Build a new building with the old name on the cemetery grounds, and then you instantly got the heritage from 80 years of that name, plus you got the bump, right, of enthusiasm for a funeral home, but the community felt good because some people love new. They don't like things that, if you look at this city, people are moving to where everything's new and being built, right? So it was just combos, they call them. Combos don't fail. I tried.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Right.
I made mistakes. I made mistakes.
So let's talk about like just like running whether it's a cemetery or funeral home or whatever, like on a day-to-day, like, I mean, I think most people got to be like, that's got to be like the world's most depressing job, right? Like, how do you do that? Like,
so you just got to. It's depressing from the outside, it's depressing. From the inside, you get to see all the good that you do for people, right? I mean, funerals aren't for the dead; they're for the living, right? And the ability to initiate that grief, which sounds bad, but that's what funerals are for, and being able to grieve is emotionally healing. And I mean, there's many studies I could go through. That's the reason why Rudy Giuliani went to every single funeral he could after the 9/11 incident, because he knew that they were important for these families to heal, right? Sure. So we went to a lot of links to make people feel good. I'm talking about the employees, not just the families, because that exudes onto the families, right? You know what I mean?
Yep. I worked in a funeral home.
No kidding.
When I was
What did you do?
15 or 14 or 15, I was opening the door, changing the coffee, saying hello, kind of thing.
Right.
It was a tough job. Like luckily I had like the bosses. I like did a pretty good job of like keeping us on the up and up. But you know, it's hard to just watch people.
You're always on show.
Right.
There's no relaxing.
Nope, and like there's no having fun kind of thing. Like that's just not the place for it.
It's all right. When you're actively doing a funeral or have a visitation, it's straight faced and you got to be nice, right?
Sure,
but
sure.
There's no cutting up. There's no relaxing. There's an expectation, especially where I was at, right? I was in the rural South of and there's expectations, right?
So what year-ish did you say you bought your first one?
98.
And then over the course of how long did you acquire 11?
So my last purchase was in 2006, and I had some across the Panhandle of Florida and South Alabama, and began running them. And here's what I learned. This is back to my original point. Learn who you are. I'm not much of an operator. All right, the day-to-day routine stuff gets me, and I get lax, right? Mm-hmm. So I had to dip, right? I'm like my accountants or are like, hey, what's going on? So I had to reevaluate myself, and I went and talked to some what I would call mentors. That's another thing. Find people that you believe in, right? That have success. The ones that are kind, they will help. A lot of people love help. Hey, look, people yell help, you'll run into a burning building.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
The word help is so powerful.
Really. Yeah. And especially in the entrepreneurial, mentoree kind of thing, I think. Because they know how hard it is. They've been kicked in the teeth a bunch of times.
And you just got to, you got to be humble and listen. And not everything that they say is going to work for you.
Correct, yeah.
But some of it will.
Yep.
And that's really all you need. I got a phone call today, and I'm going to ask you to go with me. There's a networking group that starts that's been going, and some of the business. What's the urban business? The gentleman is the president of the urban business community or something alliance or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those networking groups. Let's go.
Right,
I'm going Thursday at 8:30.
Let's do it.
That's one of the reasons why Alexis and I started this coffee shop. Couple reasons, one of the reasons was we know it's coming.
And when he says, if you guys roll back to like episode, I don't know, like 3 episodes back, his wife is on here who he's referring to. So
this is her deal, and she's doing great. I'm so proud of her. She's
killing it.
She really is. And look, not only that, like she's doing it. She for the last 3 weeks she's been there every day all by herself.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, she's
she
got her car stolen and literally stayed there.
Didn't leave.
I was like, I would have told everyone to get out. My car's, and the people probably would have been like, we get it. You just got your car stolen.
Sure.
And you're here alone. Yeah,
right.
we'll finish our coffee and go.
That's right.
But no, she was like,
She's dedicated. And she says she's not much of a people person, but she really is.
Yeah,
right.
She's just humble.
She is,
yeah.
and she's. Again, I'm just real proud of her. She's doing a great job. But
so why you guys started it? You're saying.
I didn't see. Well, we saw that empty building, right? And it was a coffee shop already. It's right across from Sunset Park. That park is so beautiful and busy. And I thought, well, maybe all this thing needs is a little bit of a pick-me-up, clean it up, not clean it up, but redo it, lighter colors. And I know that during the middle of that pandemic, how many did you see? All those commercial for rent bit everywhere you went in Las Vegas, signs were popping up. So I thought opportunity.
I got a deal of a lifetime on our warehouse. So yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. I saw, we got an opportunity here. We can get in, maybe even get a few months free, which we did.
Absolutely.
And get a good deal because no one was renting, right? And no one knew what was going to happen, right?
And that's kind of like a restaurant dedicated space. There's grease traps and everything
yes.
like there. So, and in the middle of that pandemic,
was already there.
In the middle of the pandemic, no one's going, I'm going to open a restaurant where there's limited capacity.
Where we're shutting them all down.
So especially renting out that spot is especially difficult during that time, right?
We got great neighbors.
fantastic neighbors.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, Inca Toner's awesome.
I was
also was.
I was
Okay,
talking
best deal
about
in town.
best
Pretty
deal
good.
for
Okay,
sure.
all right.
So we had those businesses for a while, and we ran them, and I started seeing the margins slip not because of work or because of the families, but because of the society going towards cremation.
Really?
And the last real, I say, bastion of casket sales. Believe it or not, there's a little bit of a profit in a casket sale.
I'm sure there is.
Was the South, and I saw it coming. I saw that margin shrinking, and then some guys.
What year-ish is this kind of?
So I start seeing this in 2015.
Okay.
And it's a very small business, even though it's worldwide. We all talk, and so I'm keeping an eye on Tennessee and the northern part of Alabama, and talking to those guys, and they're showing me and telling me, it's coming. And I had my accountant call up there and verify, and it's just slowly, it's just slowly coming down.
The South's a little more traditional, though, I think, in general. So they probably were opting more towards a traditional funeral.
Yes.
And that's why it took a little
visitations and monuments and all that. So I had some guys offer me, the guys I used to work with back with the corporations, had started their own company, and they called me out of the blue. I was actually in New Orleans having lunch.
Oh, all right.
Enjoying it. They got me at the right time.
Yeah, I bet they did. I bet there was a cocktail or two involved.
I had a tab to pay, you know what I mean? And I said, yeah, I'm interested. And over about a year's time, Alexis and I had gotten married, and it just was like time to start a new chapter.
Sure.
She's always wanted to come out west. This is her people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even
Yeah.
though she's from that area, this is more her, more progressive. And I use that word, I know exactly what I'm saying. And it's true. It is. There's more freedom.
And the West is way ahead of everything. And because I'm from
Yes.
Illinois, even songs, fashion trends, just the weirdest things. Like I'll go home for Christmas. I'm like, you guys haven't heard about this, or this isn't big yet. And 2 months later, it is.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right on. I mean, there's one of the gentlemen that was part of this company was living in San Diego, and they came out to visit. And I took him to the best restaurant we had in town, and he kept looking at the menu, and I finally said to him, Tim, there's no avocados. You're gonna have to get some pasta, man. You know what I mean? Just don't tell your wife. You know what I mean? And so we sold, right? And we used to make a joke that we went from death to dank.
Oh, right. So you still had 11 at that point?
At that time, no, I had started selling them off. I'll tell you again, back to knowing who you are. I told you, I had figured out that I wasn't a real. I was an operator to a point, but I in that industry for me it was so personal that I felt like you needed to be there, right? You needed to be a part of it, and I couldn't. I was spread out 4 or 5 hours.
It sounds like you operated it from dysfunction to function, and then once it hits the functional stage, you're like, I'm not interested in running it on a day-to-day now that I fixed it, right?
You know what? You just hit it. I learned something from you today. That's exactly what it was.
And because I'm very similar that way. I start a business. Yep, I do. You behind this camera here is I don't know, probably 20,000 trading cards, right?
Right.
And I'll do the first batch, and I will learn this entire thing inside and out, every program, and then I'll teach someone to do it. And I'll be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
Not that I don't like it. I'm just like,
I love it.
I don't
Not
want to,
challenged.
Building it was fun.
Yes. So I guess
building's fun. Running it.
It's the same.
Yeah.
People's problems.
Yeah.
And you make these great relationships, and you're like, okay, I'm ready to go do something else. My very first one, you'll think this is hilarious. My very first business was a cake party in my junior year in high school.
Yeah.
We had a farm, and I told my parents, I said, I'll split the profit with you. And my mama was like, you can't make any money, and my dad was like, well, let the boy give a shot at it. So we charged $3 a head in 1984.
Oh, wow.
Ended up with a field full of people. I think I paid my parents' mortgage that month. I bought my first car. Bought my first car.
Off of one party?
Yes, Toyota.
Yeah.
I bet I had, I don't know. I can't remember the true numbers, but it was packed. And Some other things I've done: chimney sweep. When I was a fireman, right, on my days off, I would do chimney sweep. When I was an aircraft mechanic, I went and got my A&P license, and I started working a little bit on the side on some airplanes. So I'm just kind of like you.
But once you master, it sounds like once you've like kind of mastered it, you're
Next.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so the coffee thing here is next. It was going to be. I had alluded to the cannabis, but it's 3.5 hours away. And we moved here to Las Vegas in July of 2018. We went to Home Depot to get the stuff, for the house, And I saw a cactus, and I saw a succulent, and I said, I got to have them. We got to make this a home.
Sure.
Well, I killed the succulent in about 3 weeks.
Succulent's hard to kill too.
Right. So I'm not much of a green thumb. I can't grow much of anything, but. This is going to be this. I see that business as what the funeral homes and cemeteries were back in the 90s. There's going to be a mass amount of roll-ups, I call them, right? Which means the larger companies are going to come in and buy up all the little people, and that's really all I'm.
Exactly what I said. And same with I think with all the vape, the
vape,
e-vape stuff. I mean. Philip Morris is only going to stay out of the game for so long.
Well, until it's federally legalized. They have to stay out of it until then.
Yeah, exactly. And then they'll just go up and they'll buy every single spot in town.
There's no doubt. And where are they going to go? They're going to go to California. And so, I bought 25 acres in a city called California City. And if any of your listeners or viewers want to see something really cool, YouTube California City, California. It's a city that's the second largest in the state and developed. The Hunt brothers, the silver guys.
Yeah, they tried to corner the market.
They went out there in the 50s, developed this whole city. They went head to head with the story I'm being told from the current mayor of California City, Miss Jeannie O'Laughlin, is the Hunt brothers wanted to go head to head with with Palm Springs for the vacation weekend place.
Sure, yeah.
And Palm Springs won.
Okay.
There's only 10,000 people that live in California City, but they do flyovers with drones. You see where all the roads, the hot fire hydrants.
They can't get anything developed out there. What?
It's the Mojave Desert. I mean, it's just not the most kindest place to live.
It's probably just hard to get started because Vegas is a desert, but it's already started.
Correct. I think that's really what it is.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot. They're set on a big.
Dude, let's build a city.
Let's, no, honestly, that's what all of us permit holders in California City, there is an organization where we get together about once a quarter and we're all just kind of waiting for, the snowball to get rolling because it takes time, the stories in California, but we're going to begin collectively like putting in restaurants, fast food, gas stations.
In California City?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Schools, private schools, stuff like that.
And then
my wife started California City Children's Charity. We're going to really try to.
You could put a Savoy there,
right?
Yeah.
Yes, there's no doubt. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun watching that city spring to life.
Yeah, because
Desert Rose.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's they just need the right person there to start it.
Well, again, it's right there at the outskirts of Edwards Air Force Base, so it's just a small retirement community, and how people are. They get set in their ways. They don't want to see anything really change. Right. But
I think you could almost even the name would lure people because New York City, New York. People just you told me about California City, a couple weeks ago, and I was like, what? That's
second largest. What?
I didn't know there's a city called California City. That's crazy. So yeah.
And so we went out there, and we didn't need 25 acres. Right. We didn't need all the permit space that we purchased and we registered with the state. But, my thoughts are that, it's gonna become roll up. So you're going to want to be in a position to be bought,
Yeah. So So
2.5 hours out of LA, 3 hours out of San Diego, 3.5 out of Las Vegas.
So what is it that you're doing on this 25 acres?
We're putting up greenhouses. So middle of the desert. So we went and got some engineering from some guys out of Israel. Right, they've been growing food in the desert for a long time.
Yeah,
they're good at it too. I'm going to tell you that the Israeli engineers for greenhouses and actually more of the greenhouse is easy, right? It's an vector set. It's the system inside that needs to be so precise to be able to maintain temperature, humidity, CO2 levels, all of that. That's really where we took advantage of their experience and knowledge, and we're building greenhouses. And
that's awesome. So like, how do you even like get that like how does that happen? Like you're just like, I'm gonna start building greenhouses, like.
We went for a trip. Alexis and I went for a trip out in California. She has got some family out there and wanted to show me Northern California. And we met her aunt. And her aunt, Sherry, was a very smart lady. Back in the 70s, she started her own business in the Virgin Islands doing all the computer work for the U.S. Navy. Okay. Sold that. Moved up to Northern California to get in touch with nature, let's say.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. And Miss Sherry was successful and showed me some of her products, some of her products. And she began telling me about the whole process of what was happening and the laws changing. And then she got into the financial aspect of it, and it intrigued me. So Alexis and I got an attorney in San Francisco and one out of L.A., and we started learning, back to, part of the subject here is how do you get into business? You're not going to know everything, but you need to educate yourself as much as possible and, find good people around you. So I visited with two attorneys. We picked one, Sean Maddox. Shout out to Sean Maddox.
Shout out Sean.
There in L.A. And Sean connected us with the right people, engineers and such. He actually sent us to California City. And we went up there and bought that land and kind of entrusted other people. I think that's, when you first start off, you do it yourself, right? My very first cemetery, I cut the grass, I handled the families.
No one does it better than you either, right?
And no one could, right? Because I had all the love for what I was doing, right? And then as you get a little bit older, you learn, or a little bit more experience, I should say, you get to learn people's personalities. You're able to pick up on who's got what skills and trust people. Find the right person and trust them. And business partners or even employees are really your non-equity owning business partners, because the way they represent you is so important. Like, you're not at work today. Right. And there are people there, and you guys represent you very well.
It took me a long time to realize that. Like, I just always thought that, like you said, that trust thing, right? Like, I thought that the store would burn down if I wasn't there, kind of thing. Like, these guys can't handle it, and like it's amazing what happens when you thrust someone into an opportunity, especially when they want that. They're like, all right.
When you find the right, and if you can find someone that has that respects the fact that you've handed this off to them and you're giving it to them, you've gone from one, now you've got four,
got a few,
and that's the reason why. You believe in other people, right? And that's that goodness in your heart.
I like what you said earlier too about, like, when I said, like, no one does it better, and you're like, no one could, because no one has the love for what I'm doing, right? And like, when you find that right person, like that can represent you, I think they're like, they want that. They want what you have, like that same passion and drive, and like you then found someone who can do it as good as you because they love it as much as you do.
You've cloned yourself. Yeah. You've cloned yourself.
And when you can do that, that's when you find one of those, you don't let them go.
No, it's non-equity owning partner, right? And you I guess one of the ways to do that is you partner with them with trust and responsibility. The lady that helped me with Patty Exum back in Dothan, Alabama, the lady that helped me with those businesses, I mean, if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have gotten as far as we wanted. But she loved it and handled things. And, the funeral directors that we put in charge, like your store managers that you put in charge, you just got to find the right people that want the right things, that are agree with you, have the same vision.
Right. It'll never be perfect. It's
nothing is, man, before I had my own business and I was working for other companies, I would say so many bad things like, oh, I can't believe, and I would never do this.
How could this place be run like that?
And then you get into your own and you try so hard to not have those same issues or problems, and then you realize there's just no getting around it. It just happens. You just fix it.
You just fix it.
You just fix it.
And that's what I tell people. I'm like it's the death of an entrepreneur or anybody in business is perfection.
you're never going to.
You'll spin your wheels trying to do it. Like, hey, do it to the best of your ability, and if it falls through, fix it.
Fix it.
Right. You're not going to build the perfect system, and like you'll spin your wheels all day. Like
and to our conversation, you're never going to have it all set up to begin with. Again, I see so many people with great ideas, great personalities, but they want everything already lined up so that they know it's a sure hit. I've got a friend of mine right now that wants to start a solar business, and he'd be so good at it. But every day he's calling me with questions and concerns. And I'm like, and I said to him the other day, would that have caused you to fail? No. Then why haven't you started?
Right. I think, like, at least for me, like, I think it has to do with like certain people's risk tolerance and their ability, their ability to have vision, which I think is like, that's the big one, right? Like, when you bought your first funeral home or whatever, like, you had vision, like, because you literally, you had half the money, and you were like, but I know exactly how to get to the next point.
I can do it.
I can see. I know what I got to do. Like, I don't. You don't have a perfect plan that you probably like wrote out or whatever. You're like, I know I can do it and how to get there. Like, certain people just don't have that. They're like, but what if this? What if this? And like, whenever I think about that, I'm like, but what if this? What if this? What if this? Well, then I'll figure out how to fix this, this, and this, and this.
I'll fix it.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll fix it.
Yeah. So
it also leads to, and let's not just say everybody can just jump out and do it, because there's responsibilities, wives, children, mortgages, and you were in a good position. I was in a good position. I was young. I didn't have some of that stuff that I had to worry about, right. And I just took that chance. So, we're definitely not telling people, you and I aren't telling people here just to throw everything in the wind and go give it a shot.
No, but I mean, if this is something you want to do,
man,
I hate hearing people like,
you got to go do it.
I had the idea for Uber or whatever. They're like, I had this idea. I'm like, but you didn't. Like, ideas are cool, like, but like execution is where it's really at.
Execution is the answer.
Yeah,
there's been books written about that alone. Just go do it.
Yeah,
right.
Do it. Yeah, I mean,
Walsh, I believe was his name. He wrote a great book, and it was about just making it happen. Just having the courage to go out and believe in yourself and do it.
I think a lot of people are scared too about like what other people might say and the
yes,
and it's just like, who cares?
Yeah, you're right. Especially these days, with social media and everything, everyone's so brutal on one another. If there's one thing you and I can get out here today, let's all lighten up on social media. Let's act like we're in school or in church and we're being nice to one another.
It's a digital scrapbook. It's not a platform for you to degrade people or to get on your soapbox even, really. I think it's a place for you to share your experiences and not to influence people. That's what I think.
I agree, but you know what? Let's also learn from this right now. When we were younger, there was nothing like this. There was no, we were passing notes in school, not tweets, right? Right. So you talk about business and starting business on your podcast, which is a pretty daggone good one, by the way. You're doing a great job.
Thank you much. We take that.
I think AI. Now I can barely open up and run a computer, right? But I think anybody that wants to be in business in the future needs to have some knowledge and experience with AI, because it's going to touch everything we do. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a part of your business, just like shipping, like logistics, like accounting, like marketing. Matter of fact, it may do all of them for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that you see already with like the Microsoft Azure and Amazon Web Services and things really taking off in that way in terms of like getting automated in AI. But like I agree with you. Like, I mean, I think that'll be like the pivot point that we saw when, I don't know, probably 2012, 13-ish, when you really saw e-com really make a huge pivot, yes. Right? And there was people saying, oh, people will never go completely online. My brick and mortar will be fine. It's like, we may never go 100% online, but I mean, 80% online wouldn't blow my mind. Those people who didn't make that pivot to the e-com and they stuck their ground and were brick and mortar only, like those are going to be the people who don't adopt AI, right?
I agree. That's correct.
And they'll just slowly bleed themselves to death.
I couldn't believe the first time I actually bought a car online. You know what I mean? 2011, I actually never went to the dealership except for to pick it up. People buy their funeral online.
Yeah.
I mean, it certainly is evolving, and that's, you know what? That's a very good point. You know, you talk about how you've got other business ideas, you've been into other businesses. Always learn. Any day that you're not trying to do something different or better or research is a day you're falling behind because your competition is.
Yeah.
So always, after you get open, one of the ways to keep people like you and I guess got a little ADHD in us, right? Is the ability to learn your business. So I'm terrible at school. But if it's about our business, boy, I'm ready to read. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to talk about it. I'm ready to ask questions. You know, now I'm evolving. I'm learning a lot on YouTube now. You know, about coffee and about beans and about the
even
business.
just. I mean, we were talking. I mean, you even watched a little Logan Paul. Shout out Logan Paul if you want to shout me out.
I mean, you know what? I mean, God bless and rest in peace, Rush Limbaugh. But I mean, you know, there might be a day when someone says Logan Paul was the Rush Limbaugh of the YouTube, because I mean, am I not right? I mean, wasn't he like the real first true guy to do this? You know.
I mean, I think probably Joe Rogan is the only, but
hey Joe, right?
Yeah,
he does a great job. I guess what I'm saying is he was the first one to go from, you know, a kid that barely got out of high school,
sure, yeah,
and found this and moved on. So I'm kind of crawfishing here because I don't want to make Joe Rogan mad.
You're right. You don't.
You do not want to make Joe Rogan mad.
Joe, we do not want to make you mad.
And he's here in Vegas way too often to come tracking you down here at your studio.
But I mean, if he wants to come by and be on, Joe, come on by.
Yes, sir. I'll open the door.
So you got your greenhouses going. You got your system set up. You said the Israeli engineers. Got you all set up. So now you guys you got cannabis growing in there, or
believe it or not, because of all we talked about California, because of all the delays, we have squeezed a 2-year deal into 4. You know, kind of like my college progress, right? And we have just struck lights. I mean, just solar panels. That was really the big delay was power.
Because you said like California City's not super developed, right?
Correct, and the power company couldn't get, you know, all the power needed there. SCE. And then we pivoted, we re-engineered everything, had to pay for everything to run off of PG&E. And as soon as we got our certificates...
What's PG&E?
PG&E is the large gas company for California.
Oh, okay.
And as soon as we got our certificate and they were getting ready to begin running main lines, you know, 8-inch lines, had the campfire. And then PG&E has to file bankruptcy because, you know...
Campfire, you mean
that big camp, they called it campfire. I guess that burned down... I don't know how many thousands of acres and caused so much damage and loss of life, right?
Yeah.
And that delayed us, so we had to go back through the process again.
And then COVID,
right? The general contractors weren't allowed to be out there except for he had 2 sons, so he could work because he said they lived in the house. So a team of 20 was cut down to a team of 3, but. We re-engineered everything for Tesla batteries. We have about 3 acres of solar that's going up, and
you guys are running off the power walls or whatever.
Right. Wow. That's why I got the Tesla. I learned about this through this process. I'm like, oh, this is it. This is coming for real, you know. And
Tesla's not a car company, just. You know, they're a battery and
they're a battery company.
They're a battery and AI company for sure.
So you know that's a neat story. I remember back in 2008.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember the gas prices went through the roof, and I was in my office on TV working hard, right, watching television.
Sure, yeah.
And there was an interview with all the leaders of the Ford, GM, Chevrolet, and this young guy I'd never heard of, and the governor of Michigan. And these guys are talking and yakking, and you can look at this young man at the time, and you can see him starting to fidget, and I recognized all that. We're like, somebody's bored.
Yep.
And the moderator picked up on it and turned to him and got his, and interacted with him to get him to speak. And he completely ignored the moderator's question, and he addressed his statement to the governor. And he told her, the very minute that you allow me to end some of these rundown factories and I can get these batteries, Elon Musk,
Mr. Musk,
to the same price of your engines, and he pointed to all three of the other leaders. He said, I'm going to kick your ass. And he got up and he walked off.
No kidding, really?
Looks like he's doing it. Looks like he's doing it.
Absolutely is, yeah. I mean, he's doing it. He's doing it with spaceships. He's doing it with cars. He's doing it with tunnels.
Right, and you know what? Here's the thing that we don't talk about him. And I'm not a big gigantic. I'm not part of the Elon Musk cult, but I respect what he's doing and his work ethic. But you know what else? His personal life isn't perfect, so don't beat yourself up if there's bruises. You know what I mean? Everybody's life has got ups and downs, and you're going to have successes, and believe it or not, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
You're going to fail.
Professionally and non-professionally.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you just got to, the key is what you learn from failure. Don't repeat it. And that's in your job, right? I guarantee you these other 3 or 4 that you have run way more efficiently than that first one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the evolution of everything that's happened, and even like that first one that we have, it's not even what it was, beginning.
Oh, no.
We've recreated it 3 and 4 and 5 times, and you said.
So don't get in. So to people who want to get into business, one, you're going to make mistakes. Don't beat yourself up. Don't think it's over with, right? I mean, so many stories of people failing and coming back.
Hugh Hefner, I think, had 17 or something failed publications before Playboy succeeded.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact number is, but it was pretty high.
It was more than one.
Yeah.
And so don't let the first one get you.
Right.
From your home state, President Lincoln, he filed bankruptcy 2 or 3 times.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yep. Lincoln filed bankruptcy. Our old president. I mean, come on. 45 here, right? I've never seen a casino go bankrupt, but I mean, he came back.
I think I think he restructured, but yeah.
So don't be scared of failure. If you're scared of failure, then you're scared of success.
Ooh,
that's a good one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because you're gonna fail, and if without a failure, there really is no success, is there? I mean, everything's just status quo because you never know what you could have done.
Yeah, and you don't really appreciate it too. I'm trying to there's certain things. I'll use this example, if you're not failing at anything, there's nothing to accomplish really anymore, because if you're accomplishing everything, so when I'm in the gym, for instance, I just started CrossFit 4 or 5 years ago, and there's a bunch of different movements and stuff that I couldn't do because I just hadn't done CrossFit. Now I've done it for long enough. There's no new movements for me to do. I've done them all. It's almost I'm there's nothing new to learn. There's no real mistakes to be made anymore. It's kind of boring like that, right? Like you said, in business, though, you can never learn it all. Though, in CrossFit, I can learn all the movements. In business, you'll never learn all the movements. So there's plenty of opportunity to fail over and over again. But you got to push yourself to kind of get to those failing moments, right?
Absolutely, certainly. You expect failure. I call them potholes, right, or failures. You just don't. You want to make sure you try to avoid that terminal one. That's really it, And if you're not making mistakes, you're not growing. Speaking of growing, part of what we're doing out here is we've agreed to dedicate, 10% of the canopy space to research.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right? So that it's going to be worthless, right? Worthless. Meaning it's going to be non-revenue generating.
Sure, yeah.
Until that time, when we find that right one, that right strain, or I'm really interested in the medical side of it. That's really my whole motivation, and that's really what we've built.
You've seen, Charlotte's Web is?
Absolutely.
Charlotte's Web. That's, everyone doesn't. It's a purely almost pure CBD strain that
saves children's lives. So there's a strain in California that I'm glad you mentioned that.
Okay.
There's another one that is similar called Noah.
I haven't heard of Noah.
Well, it's coming. It's new, right?
okay.
And it's developed by a chiropractor actually in California City, and it's a hemp. It's not it's not marijuana. It's not cannabis.
Hemp's like the actual like the plant, not the bud, right? Like that's where it's derived from.
A hemp plant is just another. It's a sister or a cousin to a cannabis plant. It just doesn't have as much of the psychoactive THC.
Okay.
But if you look at two of them together, the novice could never tell the difference. Only the real true professionals can look at them, right? And,
yeah.
Some of those 20-year-olds in Northern California know exactly
I'm sure
two difference look like. I've learned so much from.
So tell me about this Noah though.
It's going to be another hemp plant that is going to work with basically the same as Charlotte's Web on seizures and
Charlotte's Web's real big for epilepsy, right?
Epilepsy, brain seizures.
I've just heard some crazy stories about one of how effective that it is, and two, these people aren't sending their kids out in the garage to smoke weed. They got a little droplet and it goes under their tongue that it's derived from
tinitures.
Yeah.
Just it's a little oil. It's just it's just a little oil you put up underneath your tongue.
But what's crazy is I was watching a documentary about these families who were literally having to pick up their entire lives because they lived in Illinois or Kansas, and they had to
go to Colorado.
They moved to Colorado, and they're like literally, my kid had 9 seizures a day. Kid hasn't had a seizure in a year.
Charlotte.
And it's just if that was any, how fast did we get a COVID vaccine pushed through? We even said we don't even care about some of the safety measures. We got to push this through.
You're going to get us off on a tangent because that's all about the high corporations and the profit, right? The stories that I've heard, and I'm going to spread rumor here, so I don't know the actual facts, but maybe you'll let me come back and we'll talk about just this subject. But I've been told that there were studies back during the Nixon era, and they found that they had come across all these benefits, and the pharmaceutical companies bought this study and shut it down. Just like the gentleman that started the car engine that ran on water. They got him. They bought him and shut it down. Standard Oil, I think, bought it. Again, I'm spreading rumor, but I know that to be true. Back in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, a gentleman designed a car engine that ran off of water. And it didn't matter whether it's tap water, lake water,
really,
salt water, ocean water, and it was proven. And they bought it and closed it. Right?
Holy cat!
There's a whole lot of conspiracy.
I heard a lot of too. One of the things that I heard was that the paper companies actually were buying up all the farms because hemp was putting a dent in their margins because it was cheaper. It was cheaper
years ago.
Yeah,
yes.
Like in the 10s and 20s and 30s.
I believe that.
So they were buying these farms just to shut them down, and so that they weren't putting out parchment made of hemp, and it was actual paper.
Sure, I believe that completely. I don't think it'd take us but a couple Google searches, right, and we'd find that to be absolutely true.
No. Yeah. So yeah, there's you're most excited about all the research that's going to come out of it and the developmental stuff of that. So.
But yet I feel like it's a passive part. I mean, that's so crazy, isn't it? I feel like it's like a passive part-time thing because I really enjoy Las Vegas, and I think this coffee thing, I look around and I see all these young adults and teenagers getting coffee, and hey, I'm a little older than you guys, right? I remember coffee came from a can. And now I see, all these differences and these people having different.
It's a culture.
It's a culture. It's a big one, and I kind of like McDonald's did, right? And what McDonald's did when they had the little kid toys, right? What they were doing was they were getting brand loyalty early, And I see that happening, not so much brand loyalty, but product loyalty. I see a younger generation we didn't drink coffee when we were 15, 16 years old, right? I mean, I remember my very first cup. I was in the military and I had to stay up all night, and that was the legal amphetamine, caffeine, right? And so I really see this business really expanding. I don't know the numbers, but it can't not. I mean, you got kids that there are some coffee shops. There's a gentleman that I met and spoke with in Salt Lake City, and his shop is in one of the bad sections of Salt Lake City, and he went and got the police to give him the okay to stay open 24 hours. I guess the laws weren't, okay. And he invited all the teenagers to come and hang out at the coffee shop, and they're not drinking alcohol. They're not, smoking reefer. You know what I mean? Yeah, right. They're having coffee and they're actually engaging in conversation, just like the cafes of the 1400s in Turkey and in Italy and England.
When I was in high school, we used to drive to the Waffle House because we could sit there for 5 hours and we just drink coffee and
put quarters in the machine, listen to music,
we grab a cheap bite to eat, and then it was that was the place to hang out. There was other groups that we always knew, that group will be at the house later, and
right?
That group will be.
Right. It was the meetup.
Yeah, they weren't our friends outside of the house,
but they were.
But at the Waffle House, they were our friends. And they always sat at that table, kind of thing. But so I see what you're saying too. That. I don't my generation definitely hangs out at coffee shops.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just going to have that whole industry grow. There's a couple here that Alexis and I, a couple businesses, brands here that Alexis and I have met and spoke with and really look up to. And, hey, the best, they say well, I can't remember exactly what the language is, but you're just, I want to mimic them, right? Why reinvent the wheel? We'll just have a little bit of a different, as they say, vibe in the shop.
Sure, yeah.
But match what they're doing,
No need to reinvent the wheel, man.
No,
yeah.
I mean it's
they're
doing
working.
it so good.
And I one of the things too is it's you guys, I guess you're competitors, but you're really not. There's more than enough coffee to go.
Yeah, I was blown away by how welcoming, and because it's a small. There's not a whole lot of different businesses. I mean, there's a bunch of chains, right?
Right.
But the local Las Vegas brands, there's only a handful of them, mm-hmm. and especially the upper echelons, we'll call it. I'll give them a shout out, right? Mothership, yeah. Vesta, Public Us. Those three are really solid, great community people. All three businesses do a lot for Vegas, and none of them were ever even. I mean, not like I would ever, Alexis would ever really be a competition with them, but they were just so. Here, we'll help.
Yeah, and I think they know that too. They're like, and it only helps strengthen the brand.
The whole industry.
Yeah, and
the whole industry, everybody. If we all work together, there's enough for everybody. Exactly.
And when you grow the love of coffee, then guess what? You need more coffee shops, and guess what? You could have Mothership 2, Mothership 1, or Savoy 1, 2. And I had this issue actually. There's so I opened a trading card store inside of Best Deal in Town.
Cool.
So we got a little stand in there. And we sell stuff. And there's a couple other card stores in town, and I mean these guys were dogging me publicly on social media.
On social media, using it to bully you.
I mean mean.
Ridiculous.
Not even just casually throwing insults, directly calling me out and then getting their loyal customers to jump on the bandwagon. And I'm like, that's not my style. That's not how I do it. But I'm like, what sucks is you guys don't realize is I'm sure you do this to any card shop that ever opens because you feel intimidated and you're scared. But guess what? There's plenty of people in Vegas and there's plenty of cards to sell. All you're doing now is limiting the amount of exposure that people get. The less exposure they get, the less the smaller the industry is. The smaller the industry is, the smaller your piece of the pie is. The smaller your piece of the pie is,
less money you make.
Less money you make. What?
I mean, how many people come here every year? Is it 20 million? Right? I mean, let's all join in together and market one another, and that's really what I'm seeing. And they all have a little bit of in the coffee in the coffee industry around here. They all have a little bit of a different niche or look or feel. There's one in Henderson called Dark Moon.
Yeah, dark green's cool.
Yeah, it's like a man coffee place. You know what I mean? Dark
they
colors,
serve it at our
TVs.
gym. They got
There you go.
They got it on tap on cold brew.
Right.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
Young man has got a great business there. He's got a gentleman working with him. I can't remember his name at the moment. I'm terrible. But his brand is Luminescence as well. Mason, I think is his name. And he's just, he's not trying to be, 15 shops. He wants his and him and his friends. And it's just, that vibe is real. Like you said, it's on tap, It's a real minimalistic, but the colors are real man color. Again, big screen TVs, beer. Right. They're coming out with their own, like a coffee beer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I saw a can of it the other day. I didn't try it yet.
I get down with that, a little up or a little down at the same time.
Right on.
Hey, that's my style. I mean, keep it leveled out.
Right. Who wants to get tore up and go to sleep?
Right.
Let's stay up. Make it.
Yeah, if you need a cocktail at 2:00 in the afternoon, this is it for you, man.
That's right.
This is it.
But it's a great thing about Vegas. I mean, here, look, you're here. You're successful. This city is growing leaps and bounds, and that's the other thing. When you start talking about starting a business, get to where the getting's good, right? I mean, I don't know what cities are. Well, I mean, everybody can always pick on Detroit. You're from Illinois. You're not too far away, right? Stay away from where. Don't try to make something where the path is the most difficult. Take the path of least resistance. Make your life easy.
Like you want to grow your business, go into a growing market.
You
want to grow your business, don't go into a declining market.
Correct. And we're in one here for sure. There's so much opportunity here.
Oh my gosh. I almost get sidetracked just like,
there's no, I do.
I'm like, I could do this. We could like, and especially with like I interact with a lot of business owners in general just because of my store. Like you start a business, you need TVs and computers and tablets and stuff. And you want to save a couple bucks, so you come to me. So I've seen a lot of, I get to interact with a lot of these people, and like when they tell me what's going on and what they're doing and kind of the ins and outs of it, I'm always like,
great idea.
Can I be a part of that?
Right.
Like I don't like, and
that is so neat.
It's just it's unreal, and like when you get to hear like all the different things that these people are doing, and you're just like, wow, like it just blows my mind too, like how many different ways you can make money.
Back to making sure you got the right people around you. So I'll go off on one of these tangents exactly like that. I met this guy. We're going to do this. I'm going to do that. And, Alexis will let me go for a few minutes, and then she'll just give me the look like, you ain't doing that. Yeah, you're not doing that one. You know what I mean? Let's work on this one first. And then, I do got one that I'm going to share with you as soon as we got it. I'm sneak peeking it, but I think it's going to be, a real hit because the motivation behind it is charitable.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
I'm wanting to put together. It's simply a logo, But man, I've realized how much people are into merch,
bro.
The Maverick, right?
Yo, look at this guy knows he knows his stuff. All right.
And I saw all these different businesses and their merch is just flying off the shelf. And then what's happened here in Las Vegas over the last few years with some of the incidents and then the division. And I think I might have a way to do just a little logo that can really generate a lot of excitement and for the right reasons. And we can turn, all but whatever small administration fees are back into a charity, right, for the city, and
that's super cool.
to help heal some of this division.
People like supporting stuff, and I think that's why merch does so well.
Yeah,
like they're getting. I really think you're seeing. It's almost like among my generation at least. It's almost uncool to wear branded stuff. You want the unbranded merch stuff from, like for instance, Nike isn't as cool as buying a shirt from Savor Coffee. Dude, this shirt, I got this is my coffee shop. This is my place. Oh, they also donate like half their stuff to this charity.
Right.
People like getting behind a cause.
Yes.
And like the merch, usually they're supporting their favorite creator, their favorite charity, their favorite business, like local business usually, right?
I think you're right on. I think that's exactly how.
Yeah.
Well, I do agree with you that's how people are. If they're still, quality over quantity for sure.
Yeah.
Right, that's another Alexisism. But we as a society, I think, are becoming a lot more open to the fact that there's just a lot of good that we can do with our buying power. We don't just have to fall for the Nike. Right. Or and let's not hate on Nike or the Adidas, right? We don't just have to buy the name. It's just the importance is where that money's going. There are some really good things that you can do when you have a small community, even a small one that's collective and has the same right idea.
Right. I think the one that really comes to mind for me, like the guys I think who kind of really kicked it off, pun intended, Tom's Shoes. You ever heard of Tom's?
Oh, that's
they're
right.
They're like the real minimalist kind of slip-on.
That's right.
I think every time you buy a pair of shoes, they buy a pair of shoes and donate them in a foreign country or whatever.
Right.
And
right.
And like
that's what struck it for you. That's the first one.
That's the one that I think of like in terms of like people doing merch and putting a mission behind a product.
And why shouldn't all of us be like that? That's
I know why. Because because you're successful because you understand that. Like that again, you can enrich other people around you. So many people think, I gotta give a part of my money away.
It's mine. I worked hard. That's mine.
I gotta give this away, kind of thing. And it's like, get to your success level, and then you'll say, who can I give this to, or what good can I do with this money?
Right. It doesn't got to be a lot. It doesn't got to be a lot.
No, but
especially if you get a bunch of us like me and you together, and we're like, you know what, let's do something nice over there at Sunset Park or something for somebody.
And I think a lot of people they go, well, no one ever did that for me, or like kind of thing.
Right.
And
selfishness.
That self-awareness of being, I think, successful is.
So let's talk about that about the subject with the podcast. When you do hit it, because you're going to.
I hope so.
You're going to. When you do hit it, and when the listeners, when they get that business and they hit it, don't forget that, right? It's our responsibilities to take care of our community, not the federal government's, right? I mean, that's my opinion. Other people have other opinions, but we as business community, that's what sets us apart from other places in this world, is us successful entrepreneurs or just good people. Just we need to find causes and do the right thing. Back to this, right? I'm not going to say what it is just yet because I don't got a trademark.
All right.
But it's all about Vegas and being a part of a happy community and a culture. And I really think that we can do stuff with Best Deal and with other coffee shops and back to 1 + 1 makes 11, not 2. You find the right people, and the multiplication factor is awesome.
Right. Yeah. It starts to be exponential at that point.
That's the right word.
Instead of multiplying, you're exponentiating it. Yeah. That's really cool to hear.
What's next for Best Deal? I'm interested. I know this was. I'm flipping the script here. I'm gonna ask you a couple questions.
Go for it. One thing that we're talking about doing. When I talk about I think this is gonna happen. So, I love TVs, but they're just so big, right? And what we're really known for is our Apple stuff, really. Yeah. Is what it's really come down to. And over the last year and a half, I started a website called therefurbishedapplestore.com. And it's doing really, really well.
E-commerce.
There you go. But it works. The reason that it works really well for us on the back end side, for the business side, is because we can integrate our brick and mortar inventory onto the website. So that website's nationwide. It's shipping only. You can't go to the store, therefurbishedapplestore.com. But all that inventory that's sold on the website is also sold in the store. So we don't have to start a whole new business to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start opening up all of these smaller square footage stores that are going to be just Apple, right? We're going to call it the Refurbished Apple Store. I want to call it the refurbishedapplestore.com. Like that, that's what I want to call the store. So the sign's a free advertisement. Right. And everyone's like, where'd you buy that at? You're like, the refurbishedapplestore.com. Like, I don't like buying it online. Like, no, it's a store.
It's a store.
But it's also online, right? And what that does is it allows us to leverage our buying power and get better deals and stuff and buy even bigger lots of things. and then create a brand, around that.
So this the business broadcast that's important. What you just said is important to kind of slow down and take in. We talked earlier about you and I both, we get in, we get something up and running, and the day-to-day routine gets a bit monotonous. And I mentioned there's this 10%, even if it's just 10% of your energy, of your work day, always be looking for that something different. That's something to add on, right? Or to expand. As I said, if you're not, somebody else is.
Yeah.
And that's exactly that's exactly what you've just done, right? You've got these stores and everything's successful and you're happy and you're enjoying things and you're like, I gotta do something.
Yeah, there's no
right?
way
I don't want to get out of this. I gotta add to it. So there's always this opportunity to expand using what you already have, and I may have made a mistake in selling, frankly, but again, I wanted to make a clean break and leave that region of the United States and come out here, and that's so personal. You just can't. You got to be there. You can't run it without.
But maybe you made a mistake, more like marginally financially, right? Like maybe you could have made a little bit more money. Maybe you could have maximized that a little bit more. Maybe you could have leveraged those assets a little bit more. Maybe. Again, you didn't know. For all you know, COVID could have really killed everything up in your business, right? Right. So, but it sounds like you're you're happy with the decision that you made. Right, you're like, I'm here in Vegas. I got my new charity thing I'm doing. We got the greenhouses going. Your wife's got the coffee shop going.
All
the
new friends, all the new people. Everybody. That's okay. Let's do that. Life's like a book, right? There's chapters, and sometimes they're short, sometimes they're long. Don't be scared to write that last page on that chapter, and go do something else or add it to. Don't. Business, I've had a number of different ones, and it all really is the same thing. You got to bring in more money than you put out. It's just.
It really is the same thing. It's crazy.
It really is.
Like the whole process of everything. I mean, whether you're selling, like plots, for funerals, or you're selling candy bars, like literally,
or lattes or iPads.
Yeah, I'm blown away all the time. So tell me about one time that you talk about avoiding the terminal mistake, right? The big one. It sounds like you've probably avoided that. Are there any big mistakes that you did make that you got real close? There were close calls or stuff that you were like that was a scary time for me.
Yeah. Yes, and it caused a lot of stress and anxiety in my life, and it's certainly a big chapter. And you know what? Here's the good and the bad of it. There's an old saying: "No good deed goes unpunished." Well, in one of these small little rural towns, a guy lost his business, and in that city at that time, in that state at that time. But for a long time, there was no laws to protect the pre-need contracts.
Okay.
And there was about $8 million worth of contracts that were going to go poof. And I just could not, and I could not just sit there and just let it happen.
Right.
So I called some of the other operators in town. I was like, hey, let's do something where we all come together and we agree that we will all service these for a minimal amount and just take care of the community.
Right.
Everybody said no. All of them. Every single one of them was like, nope. And so I took the burden on myself. And I called the regulatory Alabama Department of Insurance. And I told him I would do it. And everybody, all my professionals around me, back to doing business.
And this is a funeral home? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a funeral home that went bankrupt. And that's another thing. Hey, get yourself good people around you, advisors, legal and accounting, right? You don't just want an accountant that just does your
your books.
Taxes. Yeah. You want an accountant that knows how to build businesses and helps you.
Yeah. They tell you this is how you need to do it.
Yes.
This is how you need to do it.
They think ahead rather than in arrears, right? So I had I would meet once a quarter, even with everything was just calm. You know, we'd meet once a quarter, and they were like, "No, what are you doing?" You know, and I did it anyways, and it put a hammer on my revenue, put my business in a real stretch, right? I mean,
your capital stretch. Yeah,
capital was bad.
So you
got behind.
You put a bunch of money up front to cover this guy's expenses, or
no? So the business went bankrupt, and what I did was I went to the Alabama Department of Insurance and said, just give me all the files. And as these people needed their pre-need that they had planned, I did it for free. There was no money, so I was doing funerals for free.
Oh, so people who had paid in advance for their funerals are 40, 50 years old or whatever, when it does come time for that,
right?
All that money that they had paid to that guy, they would have had to buy another funeral.
Correct. And so we just did it for him for free. And I went through about 2 or 3 years of real tight, you know. Luckily, I was spread across the region, you know, from the Panhandle of Florida to Alabama, and there was other businesses that could help, right, you know. But that little cluster right there in the southeastern part of Alabama went through some real tough financial times, and you know, I felt bad that I did it. I couldn't give some of my employees raises. But you know what? In the long run, all of the goodwill that we got from the community, after that first 24, 36 months, you know, of all the free ones we were giving away.
The exposure alone, right?
That's what it was. It ended up being advertisement,
right? You could think,
but it was for the right reason. You're helping people.
It ended up being a loss leader in a way.
Yes,
that's insane.
It really did. And don't get me wrong, I thought about that beforehand. You know, right, I'm not saying, you know, I calculated it.
It's still a business decision, right? Like
right.
It does the community no good if you go out of business too.
Right.
I said, well, you gotta help you first.
You talked about that earlier.
As selfish as it is, you have to help you, otherwise you can't help anybody else.
That's right. And you know, so it worked out in the long run. It really did. And I'm proud to say that I did it. You know, and I made a lot of friends through the process. You know, and a lot of them questioned my intelligence level.
As I'm sure you probably questioned yourself a couple times in the process. You're like,
oh yeah, especially you know when you go and you sit down, right? When you go and you sit down with the regulators and your accountants, and you go, ooh, you know. But it all worked out, and look, I certainly believe in karma, and if you just go about your business trying to do right, and you don't got to be, you know, you're not a charity, right? I mean, even churches make money.
Nonprofits make money,
a lot of money.
Yeah.
Nonprofits make a lot of money.
Nonprofits are the best run businesses, I think.
Absolutely.
Because they have so many regulatory restrictions and everything, and they make money.
Right. And you know, like, back to my statement, even churches make money. You know, I mean, how many, just right around where me and you are, there's a couple large churches.
Yeah. Did you see the Mormon church? They just came out and released they made $500 million last year in the stock market.
Right. They do, and that's a great group of people too. Though they do a lot. I have some friends of mine that are part of that community, and they do so much to help their community amongst themselves. I guess that's kind of where I was going earlier. Is it's up to me and you to help some of these people too. You know, and when you have your own business, don't forget that. You know, you don't got to buy a new car every couple of years. You know, sometimes you just do the right thing and help other people too. But again, it's better if you have a group of people that do it rather than just you yourself.
Yeah. I feel like then you don't feel so much pressure, and you don't find yourself probably in a situation where you were in, where you over leveraged yourself for 24 months, and you're like, oh no, when you have a group of people too, it makes it a whole lot easier, better ideas.
That's what I was trying to do.
Better outreach, you know.
Right.
And you tried.
I called them all, tried, and they all declined it. But hey, it all comes out on the wash, so to speak. That's an old Southern saying. It all comes out in the wash. And then we ended up out here, and you know, I really feel like Las Vegas is a community that, well, I mean, people go here to rebrand themselves and make new lives. It certainly is a city that you can start over.
It's a melting pot.
Look, where are you from? Illinois, right? I mean, like everybody I meet's from somewhere else.
Oh yeah.
I've met like 2 unicorns that were like born here.
Oh yeah. If you meet a Las Vegas born and raised person, they will be sure to
take a picture.
Here's they're like, how you doing, Mason? Las Vegas local, born and raised. You're like,
Right.
Oh, do you say born and raised everything? Yeah. Mm-hmm. There aren't a lot of us. I'm like, okay.
There ain't many Masons, but I know 2. You and the gentleman up there at
Dark Side?
at Dark Moon, right?
Dark Moon, yeah.
There ain't many of you. That's not a common name. It's pretty neat though.
No, yeah. My mom likes to take a lot of credit for that.
Mom's got to.
It was like the #1 name in like 2018 for like newborns or whatever, and she's like, I'm the original trendsetter.
Right. I was ahead of time.
Yeah, I'm like, get out of here.
What do you see for Vegas? What do you think's gonna?
You mean for like the city of Vegas?
Yeah. Oh, the next decade.
So.
I mean, that's a whole podcast right there.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what I really think. I think you're going to see the Strip expand down towards South Point. I think that's the way. I think that's the way the urban development's kind of set up anyway. So I think you're going to see Old Strip, or you're going to see the Strip turn into Old Strip. It'll be the equivalent of Fremont.
They're going to connect.
It'll be cool. I think so. If anybody would do it, Vegas would do it.
Right.
That'd be the biggest strip in the world. But it'd be so cool to see the evolution of that, like walking down. But I think you're just going to see Vegas to continue to grow because there's so much land out here that you can develop on. The weather here is awesome. I mean, we have no state tax.
There's no hurricanes. There's no tornadoes. There's no natural disasters.
Yeah.
I mean, the one earthquake that we had was.
I'll put a meme up here. It's my favorite meme. There's a outdoor plastic seating set, and it like is falling over on the side,
right.
and it says I survived the Las Vegas earthquake, right? And it's like
it was early in the morning, but not real early, and I was being a little lazy, and everything starts shaking. My closet, my clothes. I'm like, oh wow, first earthquake, right? And I run outside, and the water's sloshing in the pool.
I didn't even know about it.
You didn't even know about it? You slept through it?
Yeah, I slept right through it. So I was like, I didn't know when people were like earthquake, I was like, because there was an earthquake in Illinois one time in high school, and I slept through it too. And I went to school the next day, and people were like talking about it, and I was like,
what?
Is this a joke?
Right, what earthquake?
Yeah, because at first my mom would text me, she was like, "Did you feel the earthquake?" And I was like, "Ha ha 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 ha! You're so funny. You're playing a joke on me or something." And when people start talking about it at school, I was like, "We actually had an earthquake?"
Yeah.
Oh, it smokes.
I see us growing way faster than what we know. Obviously, some people know about it because federal government just gave us $1 billion for schools, right? Which means we got to build schools. Population's coming,
yep.
And with population, as long as we can control, our expansion, I mean, it's nothing but good. And more TVs are going to be bought, more iPads,
more coffee's going to be drank,
right? Yeah. And it's just going to be one of those opportunities, like Phoenix was 20 years ago.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hearing. Is the growth is going to be much like what Phoenix was, and the more business. Well, Google's here now, and that's what I really wanted to see. I wanted to, what we've learned over this last year was the Strip's great. But we need stuff that can. We need more than service.
You need things that can weather the storm,
right? And so Google's here now, right? What's the other one? Amazon's building a whole bunch of big new warehouses.
Yep.
Right?
I know. I think when Tesla was talking about building a new factory,
we missed.
Yeah, we missed. There was like 3 or 4 cities, and we didn't get it.
Henderson was one we missed, but that would have been a great opportunity. I think you're going to see that. All of the school buses, the police, it's all going to be batteries soon.
Oh, the school buses will be driven by the autopilot. Yeah. Yes. Everything will be robo-taxis and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited.
Well, you know what? You're in that.
Well, hopefully I stay in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll see. Well, all right. So wrapping up here. Let's. I want to do something with you real quick. I do this. It's called Real Talk Rapid Fire.
Oh,
I'm gonna ask you a handful of questions. They're real easy.
Where's the edit button?
They're real easy. They're real quick. Just like example, it'd be like cats and dogs, and you just got to tell me which one you prefer.
Okay.
All right. So we'll run through it here real quick. What was your first job you ever had?
Oh, I worked for 3.5 hours at Long John Silver's as the slaw boy.
Nice. What was the worst job you ever had?
Cleaning out the demolition of burnt homes.
Oh, yeah, that stuff. Ugh. What was your first car?
I had a 1972 Toyota Corolla wagon.
It's probably still running to this day.
It probably is, but when I sold it, no AC, straight stick.
Oh, yeah. What is your favorite city?
States or worldwide?
Worldwide.
I'm going with Como, Italy.
Oh, okay.
I've
never been to Italy.
Oh man, you got to go one time, and you'll dream about it.
All right.
It's the most majestic, beautiful place. It's just incredible.
I love red wine, so I mean, like
you're in.
Oh, I'm done. Easy. Knights or Raiders?
Oh.
Yeah. You're gonna have to make some people mad here.
Well, I know, but you know what? I got good reasoning for this.
Let's hear it.
I was as a young man. I was raised in and around Indiana, born in Louisville, Kentucky, and the '70s was the Steel Curtain, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I just didn't like the Steelers, and they would go head to head with the Raiders. And you know what? That was really one of the first like non-school books I ever read was a book about the Raiders. I'm Raiders. A hockey fan for sure, but
if you had to pick one, you're going Raiders.
I'm going Raiders.
All right, cool. I like that. Do you like your pizza cut in triangles or squares?
Oh, triangles.
Favorite topping on a pizza?
I'm old school, pepperoni.
Me too. Are aliens real?
Yes. Absolutely.
Are they here?
Yes.
Ooh, I like that. What's your most used emoji?
Well, because I don't really have a strong emoji game, I probably overuse the laugh out loud because I don't want people to think that what I'm saying, I'm being aggressive, or I don't want them to take what I'm saying the wrong way, right? I'm overly sensitive with that.
You can't convey tone through text, right?
Correct.
Right,
yeah. That's something me and my wonderful bride work on every day. What did that mean? Like, hold up. Laugh out loud.
I have conversations, like, it's weird because like I'll be texting some of my friends and I won't put LOL or whatever because like they know my tone,
right?
And then like I'll be texting someone else and I'll be like, oh crap, I need to throw LOL.
I got to do something. I want to make sure, right? No hurt feelings. No hurt feelings.
So your equivalent to overuse of emoji is LOL.
Yes.
Got it. Are you a call or a text person?
Text. And it just goes to the ADHD. I hate, this is terrible. I hate the on the phone calls, you just feel obligated to say, hey, how are you? What's going on? I ain't got time.
Wait till you listen to the podcast yesterday. I said exactly what you just said.
Here I am. This is what I got. Let me know. And we're still friends. I just don't feel like going through it and finding out how your mom is.
Right. Yeah. No, heard that. Yeah, absolutely. What's your favorite holiday?
Wow, that's a great question, right? So this is terrible, what I'm getting ready to say is I am anti-Christmas.
What? Oh, that's my favorite.
Well, and here's the reason why. Only for this reason. I feel like it's just been so over-commercialized that we're forgetting that this is about being together and being family. And so the one I don't like the most is the Christmas. The one that I like, the one that I enjoy the most is probably Halloween, because you get to relax, dress up a little bit, be a little goofy, and realize life's short.
A lot of people like Halloween.
I'm a Halloweener.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Hey, and you get some candy.
And you get
candy. Like, come on.
Right.
Like, it's like that and Easter. It's like, eat all the candy you want, right?
Yeah.
If you had to change your first name.
Stephen.
Really? Is it your middle name?
No.
Okay. Why Stephen?
I don't know. I just always liked that. And I think about that too. I think maybe like when I was in third grade, I had like a best friend or something named Stephen. I went to 17 schools in 12 years. So to remember everybody, who knows, right? But Stephen. But I can't do it because Alexis's first boyfriend was named Stephen. She's like, I was like, let's name our first kid Stephen. She's like, no, that's not happening.
That would not go down.
Especially if it was a girl, that wouldn't happen very well either.
All right, so as the husband of a coffee shop owner, how do you take your coffee?
I'm espresso.
Oh, okay. You're an espresso guy.
I'm espresso.
Double, single,
just double. Most shots pulled at a shop are doubles.
Okay.
Right. And I'm not. While I love Alexis's lattes, I'm cappuccino and mostly lattes, especially a latte after lunch.
Okay.
Right. I just stay off the milk and just.
All right, so lattes.
Yeah, because it's like beer. None of it really tastes good. You drink it for a reason. You
You
pretend like it tastes good. Oh, this is so good.
It's acquired, right?
Yes,
like,
yes,
like,
yes.
I love the acquired taste, right? It's more like I just don't complain when I drink this.
I complain less.
You're right. Yeah. Let's see. Do you have a favorite stock in the stock market?
I'm not really a stock market guy because I prefer to bet on myself than other people.
I like that.
I've got very little money in the stock market. Alexis and I got on a kick a couple years ago and bought some crypto stuff.
Yeah, 2017.
Yeah. XRP and Litecoin.
Oh, it's Ripple, huh?
Yeah, so I'm XRP, she's Litecoin. She's kicking my hind end right now, right? we get our little app and we look at it, each other, and kid each other. But I'm into some. I've been watching, and I do have a little bit into some cannabis stocks. There's one out of Denver, and it's called American Cannabis Company, AMMJ. And here's why I like them. They're just about retail and about products. There was more millions made selling shovels during the gold rush than there was people finding gold. And these guys have run with that. Their job is to find you the equipment, to find
you want to sell the shovels. You don't want. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so they're selling nutrients, which you got to buy over and over and over. And people, especially in that market, once they find something that works, they're so totally brand loyal. Mm-hmm. And they were one of the first ones out there. They're publicly traded. Like everybody, they've had their ups and downs.
What was the name of it again?
American Cannabis Company.
All right. Me and my friends trade in the morning, so we'll
check them out.
We'll check them out. We'll do a little investigation.
They're up lately, right? Guy's name is Ellis Smith, Alabama boy.
Hey,
right?
Shout out to Ellis.
Right.
Hey, if you got any samples or anything.
That's right. Yeah, there you go. A little freebie.
Yeah, there we go. All right, last one. What's the best podcast you've ever been on?
In my experience with podcasts, this is the only one I've ever been on.
There we go.
This is absolutely the best one of all time.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I got for you. Do you have like a website or anything like that, or anywhere that anyone can get a hold of if they ever need anything, or once we get the new branding going up for the we'll
the community logo we're starting.
Yeah, community logo. So once we get that, I'll get all that info tapped underneath into the description section. So if you guys want to jump on that bandwagon and get on that, we'll make all of that happen as well.
Let me say something. I didn't realize I was going to have as much fun as I did.
Good.
And so I'm inviting myself back.
Well, good. Well,
do you have many people do that?
No one's invited. Usually I got to drag it out of them. I have to get them. You'll see yesterday I actually turned the mic back on so I could get the guy on recording saying that he was going to come back. So in 100 episodes, will you come back?
Oh, certainly.
And it might even be less.
Well, let's hope. Whenever I'm back whenever you ask.
Cool. Well, I'll have you back whenever you want.
And I've got a couple other people that I think I'm going to introduce you to that I think that are big in the business.
That would be awesome.
Done TED Talks, that have taken business public, that are entertaining.
Cool. That'd be awesome. I don't know if you might know this guy in town. If you don't, he'd be a good guy to know. He's very similar in mindset and successful like you, John Preto.
I do not, but I wish you would introduce him.
I will. You'll like him. He's gonna be on here as well. He's a big streamer guy. But yeah, cool. All right, guys. Well, Mike, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate
what a wonderful
time today, man. This was awesome, guys. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hit it twice. Why not? Yeah. And with that, guys.